as chair is about to expire.
Next year.
Isn't he going to do everything in his power to ingratiate himself with the White House so that he gets reappointed?
Right. I mean, that's that. Clearly, I mean, I came out of a career of public relations communications. I know what a PR campaign looks like.
Right.
And this is clearly a PR campaign from the town hall meeting to the Wall Street Journal op-ed of last Monday, in which he laid out in distinct detail how he's going to withdraw the liquidity and why they're on top of things. Now, the interesting thing about that Wall Street Journal op-ed, if you read it, and I challenge anyone to really explain what he was talking about. I mean, the policy tools that he's describing are incredibly detailed, arcane, and difficult to understand. If you watch his congressional testimony, it's the same way. I mean, after 2 or 3 minutes, most people will just glaze over. And I think that might even be part of the strategy. Just bombard them with details. Say that I know what I'm talking about. Look at this stuff. This is clearly complicated. You don't understand it, but I do, and thank God I'm in charge. But in this case, I think it might be stepping over the line because clearly they're campaigning against H.R. 1207. They don't want the audit the Fed bill to pass. But also, Bernanke himself is campaigning for his job again next year.
I couldn't agree with you more. And, Peter, I saw a great deal of nervousness. I realize that Congressman Grayson is an expert on the economy, as are you, and that former professor at Princeton and now chair of the Federal Reserve, Ben Bernanke, didn't like being questioned. Just like judges, they're accustomed to asking rather than answering. But he is a poor representative and a poor explainer of even this warped philosophy that he adheres to.
Yeah, Alan Greisman's expertise, in my opinion, is not necessarily on the economy. It's on finance. It's on balance sheets, on corporations. He is a very shrewd and astute investor. He does a lot of his own homework. He really reads and gets in deep into financial statements. He's a smart guy. And so he understands the things that the Federal Reserve is doing better than most people in Congress. On the economy, I guess I can disagree with him. I think, he'd be a proponent of he would support things like the minimum wage. He would support things like, mandatory vacation. So he doesn't necessarily understand all the ways that market economies work, but he does understand finance and accounting, and he understands the fraud involved in the Federal Reserve, and he's a big gold bug. And the reason that he's a gold bug is because he understands inflation, he knows where it comes from, and he knows that Alan Greenspan is creating it.
But from a purely a PR standpoint, the bringing in the New Zealand $3,000 per man, woman, and child.
Well, that was brilliant.
Brilliant point. I mean, that really brings things home very clearly. And people saying you just gave $3,000 for every man, woman, and child into New Zealand. I mean, it may not be exactly what happened, but it really brings things home to a manner that people can understand, which is exactly what Bernanke does not do.
Switching gears a little bit, but something that may be, hopefully, in the opinion of a lot of the viewers of this show, near and dear to your heart, Peter Schiff. If a certain senator from a certain small New England state was charged a very small amount of points on his mortgage, like, say, a half a point, when everybody else was getting 4 points, and when he was charged an interest rate that was a full percentage interest rate below what was the prevailing interest rate at the time, would you expect him to say to the public and to his constituents he didn't know that Angelo Mazzillo was giving him a good deal or doing him a favor on his mortgage?
Well, I don't know how anybody could not know. I mean, the mortgage rates are pretty public. I'm sure if he shared with his friends the rate that he got, somebody would have said, hey, how'd you get such a good deal? I mean, clearly, this is a political payback, a kickback, a bribe. I mean, this is, how everybody scratches each other's back. Basically, he was out there protecting the mortgage industry, protecting countrywides and Fannie and Freddie, and he was doing it for a reason. He was doing it because they supported his reelection efforts. They gave money to his campaign, and they clearly also gave money to him through artificially low sweetheart deals on his home mortgage.
We're talking, of course, about Senator Chris Dodd of Connecticut. Yeah. Am I talking to the future campaign chair of the Peter Schiff for Senate campaign?
I have no idea what you're talking about.
Shouldn't we take Chris Dodd on head-on by somebody who truly understands the market, finance, the economy, gold, and the way the world works?
That is, you make a strong case. But clearly, Dodd's been in the Senate for 36 years.
I didn't realize that it was that long.
36 years. Well, it's either 30 or 36. I don't know for sure.
So it's 5 or 6 terms.
It's 30.
I think it's 30. So that's quite a long time. He's never, and of course his father was in the Senate before him,
right?
Who had a mixed career. Actually, one of the few senators to be impeached in the 20th
Expelled
century.
from the Senate.
He was expelled from the Senate. Before that, he played a pivotal role in the not the Nuremberg trials, but a similar kind of Nazi war trials after the war. So he had some things in the record that were good, but there's some ethical problems that got him drummed out of the Senate. So I don't think Chris Dodd knows anything about economics. I think very few senators know anything about economics. In terms of the Countrywide deal, it's clear from what the guy who's testifying from Countrywide has said that Dodd knew that he was getting special treatment, that there was a friend of Angelo's program, and there was access that he got that nobody else got. Dodd is countered by saying, well, I didn't get a rate that no one else got, but what he's not saying is that he was getting a rate at any particular moment that was better than anybody else, and he could change the terms of his mortgage, as the market changed, which other people couldn't get at that time. So that was a perk.
Isn't now the time to take him on?
Yeah, well, he got the same rate as the other friends of Angelo.
Right.
So that's what his claim is.
Right.
I got the same sweetheart deal as all the other people were getting bribes.
Right, including Senator Ken Conrad, who chairs, I'm forgetting the name of it, but another Senate committee arguably involved with the regulation of the banking
industry. It was friends of Angelo, not friend of Angelo, so there were a few guys there. But, obviously it's time to take him on. There's a lot of Republicans in Connecticut who want Chris Dodd's Senate seat, but I think they want it for the wrong reason. If you look at the other Republicans in the race, just getting rid of Dodd and replacing them with another big government Republican who's indistinguishable from all the other Democrats, what good is that going to do? Nothing is going to change by sending another bureaucrat to Washington. The key is to get rid of Chris Dodd, but replace him with somebody different that can actually make a difference. If we're going to send a Republican to the Senate for the first time in 20 years in Connecticut, let's send a real Republican, not a rhino.
Well, Peter, I am not patronizing because I'm asking you this on national television and on the Internet. But you and I are good friends, and we have talked about this many times, and I get emails all the time. When is Peter going to decide to take on Chris Dodd? How do you answer that question, my dear friend?
Well, I can't take on Chris Dodd until I beat all the Republicans for the Republican nomination. And, I do have an exploratory committee, and I have announced on your show that the decision to run at this point rests solely in how much support I have. And I'm trying to raise money. I've got a website, SchiffforSenate.com. We've got a lot. We've got over 2,000 contributions so far. I'm watching them come in. I need to raise a lot of money. I need a lot of people to donate. And if the public wants me in this race, if they're willing to show their support by donating to my campaign, then I'll run. And if I can beat the other Republicans, I'm sure I can beat Chris Dodd.
I think his tougher fight would be in the Republican
Absolutely.
primary. I think the hierarchy of the Republican Party, such as it is in Connecticut, will fight tooth and dog to keep a free marketer like your brother out from being the nominal head of the Republican Party in the state.
Absolutely. I'm looking at the race, and clearly I'm helping Peter look at the race. The Republican primary is the tough part. I think the general election, the idea of Peter debating Chris Dodd, the ethical issues come to the fore, the economic issues come to the fore. The fact that Chris Dodd didn't see any of this coming and has no real solutions is simply reacting to poll numbers and the winds of popular support, whereas Peter actually understands the economy. But, in the state of Connecticut, you've got about 120,000 registered Republican voters who are going to determine who wins the primary. It's not an open primary, so it's a core constituency.
Right, but we're hoping to register. If I run, I'm hoping to register a lot of new Republicans. Hopefully, some independents will register Republicans, some libertarians will register Republican, so that they can vote for me and try to break that stranglehold. And I think one thing that's working against me, if Dodd wasn't so vulnerable, there wouldn't be so many Republicans vying to challenge him. If he was a stronger incumbent, it would have been easier for me to get the Republican nomination. But because he's so vulnerable, you got a lot of people who want to run against him.
If people want to tell you that they want to run, either with their emails or their checkbooks, how should they do so, Peter?
Well, they go to the SchiffforSenate.com website. They can sign up that they're interested in the campaign. They can check if they want to volunteer. But most important, we need the money. I need contributions because it's going to be an expensive race, and my ability to fight the race and to get the word out there and to get my name recognition higher among Republican voters is going to depend on the amount of money. And I'm not going to get the special interest money. I'm not going to get the big donor money from the Republican Party. I need the support of my fans out there, of the grassroots. I know I'm getting support of some of my clients, but that's what I need. I need enough people to give me enough money. I'll add some money personally, but, I'm not